This is episode 86 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Lindsay Lovell. Lindsay has scaled from 0 to 36 stores in just 18 months, achieving financial freedom, and now owns a diverse portfolio, probably more than this because I'm reading a bio, 72 properties. We'll find out more. They include long-term vacation rentals, mobile home park ventures. She's also the co-founder of GVI Capital Management and Wanderlust Stays, which we will talk about as well. Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you and to learn about your journey. I do like to start here. When you were younger, did you have any interest in real estate?
Absolutely not. No interest in real estate and even less interest in being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, interesting. It's so funny. When I started the podcast, I kind of asked that because I thought it was going to just people were going to say, oh, yeah, I really like real estate. And now I think we're probably at maybe 80% of people who had no interest, which I think really helps new investors or people who, thought, hey, maybe this isn't for me. Like, you can do it. When do you remember the first time becoming interested in real estate and why?
So even after I bought my first place when I was 36 years old, so I definitely got started later than a lot of people typically do. It still wasn't on my mind to make real estate work for me or to create my own wealth. I grew up, thinking I'm going to be a straight A student. I got good grades, got the college that I wanted, landed the dream job. And I just imagine you're going to climb the corporate ladder and you're going to have everything the American dream wants you to have. And I was pounding my head against that for a long time, just thinking, it's got to work, maybe the next promotion or the next job. And it wasn't until COVID hit and I had my job at the time and still currently a bit is to work in breast cancer centers. And so when COVID hit, everything came to screeching halt, but I was very fortunate to still be getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my wealth front and I'm like, okay, my 401k. Now, maybe, just maybe, if I keep working this hard and saving, I might be able to retire at 63. And as long as I don't live past 96, like life will be good, and I'll be set. And I was like, this can't be it. Like I've worked too hard. There's got to be another way. And my husband said, you should talk to a friend of his who had also done tech sales and got into real estate investing. And this gentleman introduced me to Bigger Pockets and the podcast. And I just started listening and was like, wow, this is something I could do. I bought a house before. Why can't I do it again and again? And the crazy thing, I had worked in private equity, I had worked in consulting. I just never thought that I was one to be able to take risks and invest and make it work for me until I found that real estate was someplace I felt like I had an understanding versus the stock market. And away it went. So I didn't get started until July of 2020.
Yeah. And as you were going along in this first deal, what were the points where you figured you really started to get confidence? Because it's hard to understand. Like, how did you know you knew the numbers on the first deal? Was it the connections? Explain that for the new investors who maybe are thinking like, hey, I want to try out of state at a lower price point as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody that or even somebody else that's maybe a little bit further along, join a mastermind. There's so much wealth out there of knowledge, and there's people out there that are more than happy to share or teach, bring you through it. And so I had found my mentor and he helped me run the numbers and go through everything. And I have always taken an approach to be very, very conservative. So I always run 3 scenarios, right? So your worst case, absolutely, if I dirt cheap have to rent this out, base case, what my PM is telling me. And then maybe if there's a little, extra gravy on the side, what would that look like? But if it doesn't meet my worst case, I'm not going to go forward, right? The other 2 kind of just are motivation. Like, okay, wouldn't that be great? Or something to aim for. Spent a lot of time, especially when you're doing a BRRRR, making sure to understand the comps. So I think that's really important and relying heavily on my agent and relying on PropStream. And now there's, so many other things that you can pull comps and look at it, but just making sure that you're not overdoing it. And that was something that I made sure to check in with my mentor on. You don't need granite countertops in St. Joseph, Missouri, right? But you could easily go that way. So just understanding who your avatar of renter is and your sort of avatar of your comp and getting the house there and just being very clear and communicative and writing everything down with the contractor. And so that's how I was able to be successful in that market.
And now you've also put that into coaching as well, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And, the more I've kind of dug into it too, to rely only on one thing, like a 401k, and even real estate, you should have diversification, is just, we're trained that way, but really not the smartest way to approach our future.
Yeah. So that led to the Millionaires March at some point, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I like the mission here and I want to talk to you about that for sure.
Right. So, the Millionaires March, I found myself, like I said, so many people helped me get to where I am, even outside of real estate, that I found myself doing a lot of calls with people and helping them along the way, and realized I felt really fulfilled by helping others, and that there was the need. And I also think that there's a lot of just our nature, or however we're sort of raised, women aren't very excited about taking risks, right? It's a little more against our nature. And I have along the way been able to work with several friends that are single moms, or in tight financial situations, or, just single, making it on their own, and thought that that was an area that I could really focus and niche down in. And so I started the Millionaires March really to help empower women. But as we've grown, ironically, some of my very first students and clients were men, and it's grown to be an all-encompassing community. But it is something that I, along the way, tailored. There's an 8-week program that basically in 90 days, you will be buying your first rental. And then for those, I also work with people that maybe were like me, where they owned a home, so they understood what an escrow and all those steps were, but so many of us just need that motivation and that accountability. And so I also do just one-on-one hourly coaching of, how do we find the right market for you? What are your goals, your needs? How do you pull in other tools like self-directed IRAs? I've done just about everything from short-term rentals, small multifamilies, long-term JVs. So really, there's so many ways you can do it. So finding that unique approach that works for that student is how the Millionaires March works.
Which asset class is your personal favorite, if you have one, or at least one that you really like?
Yeah. So single family home, and there's a nice sweet spot in the Midwest that I would say, single family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. In the Midwest, you get, nice small family in there, and it's appreciating. And I think it's a great area, with climate change. I'm paying attention to that, with
Very much.
just where Silicon Valley's moving from here to San Francisco. So I think for me, that's kind of been my favorite asset class that we've had the most success and steady, reliable renters in.
Yeah, you talked about something interesting that I've been focusing on a lot, and that is the climate change. So again, though, Midwest has tornadoes, which is the thing that I look at, but those are kind of unpredictable. They're not like as easily known as like rising waters and heat.
Yes.
So are you looking at data on that? Because I have been, to determine like what hedging your bets on like long-term viability of these markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a great site, and I'm happy to email it to you after this if you
Yeah.
want to post for the listeners. But it literally shows the different risks, like fire, water, heat. If something's a big agricultural area, what's at risk of losing that? And
Yeah.
it rates them all on a scale of 1 to 10. I don't think that should, never should one data point be your driving factor. But for me, knowing that I'm a long-term buy and hold, and I really just want to buy assets and hold on to them forever, that is something I'm definitely starting to consider. And so places like the Dakotas, where never before would I have ever really explored, are looking more and more like a good place to think long-term.